Aptis Speaking Practice Test 1 Sample B2 Answers. I'm going to ask you 3 short questions about yourself and your interests. You will have 30 seconds to reply to each question. Begin speaking when you hear this sound. Please tell me about your hobbies.
Well, I go to the gym and play tennis. I belong to a club and I've won several tournaments. I'm playing in one this weekend. I've just taken up a new hobby, life drawing. I used to love drawing when I was a child, so I decided to try it again. I've started going to evening classes. Apart from that, I love reading when I get the chance. I wish I had more time for hobbies.
Please tell me about your last holiday.
Well, last summer I went to a place I'd never been before, Thailand. I had a fantastic time. The beaches were amazing and the water was crystal clear. We went snorkeling and saw loads of tropical fish. Thai food's really tasty, though it's quite spicy too. The people were friendly and welcoming, even though they must deal with so many tourists. I'd love to go again.
Please tell me about your favourite actor.
Well, it's hard to say, but if I had to choose just one, it would have to be Leonardo DiCaprio. I think he's a really versatile actor. He's starred in comedies, action films, romantic films, and even science fiction, and always plays very different roles, unlike some actors who just seem to play themselves. I'm not sure if he's ever won an Oscar, but I bet he will, sooner or later.
In this part, I'm going to ask you to describe what is happening in a picture. Then I will ask you 2 questions about it. You will have 45 seconds for each response. Begin speaking when you hear this sound. Make sure you answer as fully as possible. Describe this picture.
This photo shows a brightly coloured classroom, probably in an infant or primary school. As the children look about 4 or 5 years old, and the room is full of toys and books and pictures. It's quite a small group. I can only see 10 kids. They're all sitting on the floor and looking very interested in what the teacher's telling them. They might be learning how to say the date in Spanish, as there's a calendar on the board in English and Spanish. Maybe they're also learning how to tell the time, as there's a giant clock on the carpet where they're sitting. Looks like a friendly atmosphere, not formal at all.
What is a typical school day for most students in your country?
Well, it depends what age group we're talking about, but I'd say most students probably start at about 8:30 or 9 a.m, although in some schools different year groups start and finish at different times. Some schools start the day with everyone together for assembly. They do 2 or 3 classes, then there's usually a break when they can have a snack or a second breakfast. Then it's back to the classroom till around 2 or 2:30 or 3 o'clock, when many students go home, though some stay on for after-school activities like sports or dance, especially if their parents work full-time.
How have schools changed since you were a child?
In lots of ways. I think teachers were much stricter when I was at school. Seems to me that children have more freedom in class these days. They often call the teacher by their first name. We weren't allowed to do that. We never used to sit on the floor. We'd always sit at desks, and it was more like a formal classroom. I think we got more homework than nowadays. And school subjects have changed too. Now kids are taught all about technology and even get their own laptops or tablets. I'd have loved that. There were hardly any computers at my school. Well, not in the classrooms anyway, only in the computer lab.
In this part, I'm going to ask you to compare two pictures, and I will then ask you 2 questions about them. You will have 45 seconds for each response. Begin speaking when you hear this sound. Tell me what you see in these 2 pictures.
The first photo shows a street market selling fresh produce, such as fruit and vegetables, and lots of other things too. There are stalls selling clothes, shoes, hats. There's something that looks like a tourist stall in the background. It might be selling arts and crafts souvenirs. It must be somewhere in Europe because the price sign's in euros. Whereas in the second photo there's a large modern shopping mall on at least 2 floors, with clothes shops on both floors, people going up and down the escalators. The shop signs are all in English, but it could be anywhere as malls all look the same these days.
Why do people choose to shop in each of these places?
There are several possible reasons. For food shopping, markets are often cheaper. The fruit and vegetables are usually fresher. On the other hand, in supermarkets you can choose your own produce, which many people prefer to do. For clothes shopping, I think most people choose malls because there's so much variety and the clothes are better quality, though some people might choose to shop in street markets because the clothes are more original. And it also depends on the weather. Malls are more comfortable, especially when it's raining, or in summer when it's so hot outside.
Which place do you prefer to shop? Why?
Well, it depends. If I have enough time, I prefer to shop in markets because it's more fun and you can sometimes find unusual things to buy, and it's more personal too. When I'm on holiday, I always go to street markets as I think they give you a feeling of the country and you can find more original souvenirs, while in shopping centres everything's the same everywhere. On the other hand, in my daily life, I usually prefer to shop in malls. It's easy to park there. Parking's a real problem in the city centre, and I can get everything I need in the same place, so it's much quicker too.
In this part, I'm going to show you a picture and ask you 3 questions. You will have 1 minute to think about your answers before you start speaking. You will have 2 minutes to answer all 3 questions. Begin speaking when you hear this sound. Look at the photograph. Tell me about a time when you had to wear something different or special. How did you feel about it? Do you think fashion has too much importance in our lives? You now have 1 minute to think about your answers. You can take notes if you want. You now have 2 minutes to talk. You now have 2 minutes to talk.
I was once a bridesmaid at a friend's wedding, and I had to wear a long green dress made of very stiff, shiny material. It was a beautiful colour, but it was very uncomfortable. I didn't feel like me because I hardly ever dress up in formal clothes. I usually wear t-shirts, jeans and trainers. The worst part was having to wear high-heeled shoes. I'm not used to wearing heels, and I found it hard to walk without falling over. There were 2 other bridesmaids, and we all had to dress the same, which also felt very strange, as if we were wearing a uniform. I'm not a fashion addict, but I like to be original, so I didn't like that. Personally, fashion doesn't have much importance in my life. Being comfortable is much more important. In my opinion, fashion should be fun, and people should be able to wear what they like. In general, I think that people, especially young people, give far too much importance to fashion. They all want to follow the same styles as the stars and wear designer labels, even though most of these clothes are far too expensive for many people. And that can cause problems with their parents. Fashion is big business these days. If you ask me, there's far too much pressure on people to spend loads of money on looking cool and having the latest clothes and accessories. What's more, people sometimes judge you for not being in fashion, which can make you feel bad. To my mind, that's wrong.
If you like this video, then please subscribe to our channel, leave a like, comment or a question, and we will aim to answer you as soon as possible. You can find out more information here on our website www.aptistutor.com.